Nope.
After my last post, I made a mad dash from my car. The security system we installed came with a mobile app that helps track all the features. The app sends you emergency notifications in case of fire, CO2 emissions, and, of course, intruders. I received an intruder alert. Alert. A window on your main level has been compromised. As a precaution, local authorities have been alerted and will be arriving shortly. For your safety, ensure all occupants are out of danger and accounted for. I reached my car and peeled off the shoulder of the road. I sped like a madman through the familiar streets of my quiet neighborhood. I reached my driveway, threw the car in park, and leapt out, not even bothering to cut off the engine. I saw that the large window in front of my house was shattered. I could hear the alarm blaring from within. I had my tire iron on me. After reassuring a solid grip on the blunt tool, I ran into the house, through the busted window, and began calling out for my wife and daughter. I heard them shouting from upstairs. I could hear the fear in their voices. Just like you, I already knew what was happening. I had no doubt in my mind. That brief moment before I shot up the stairs was so surreal. It felt like none of this was real. Like any moment now, I'd wake up in my bed on that first night. That I would look around and realize Jennifer and my wife were sleeping soundly, and this woman was nothing more than a figment of my nightmares. That brief moment came and went, and before I knew it, I was bolting through Jennifer's bedroom door. The scene on the other side of the door will be ingrained in my memory forever. In front of me stood the woman. She was wielding a huge blade. At first, I thought it was a machete due to its size, but then I realized it was also serrated, like a hunting knife. She had the weapon pointed at my wife and daughter, who were on the ground. They were huddled together in a corner, holding and sobbing into each other. My wife Mary turned to look at me. Her head had a nasty gash and blood was streaming down the front. Her eyes were open wide. I could tell she was trying to say something, but couldn't form the words due to her terror. But it was clear. She was begging for my help. That was when the woman finally broke the silence.
Mr. Finley, there you are!
I said nothing. My mind was going crazy trying to devise a plan to protect my family. I was hesitant to make a move. She was standing right above the both of them, with her blade raised right above Jennifer, ready to strike it down at a moment's notice. From where I stood, she would be able to violently cut or maybe even impale her by the time I was even close enough to do anything. Again, the woman spoke.
I knew you loved me, Mr. Finley. Now you can be my papa.
I finally turned to meet her gaze. Be her papa? What the hell was she talking about?
What? You want me to be your papa?
Of course. You're the best papa around.
But why?
I asked in utter confusion.
Don't you remember, Mr. Finley? You were always nice to me, even when she wasn't.
She pointed the knife at Jennifer before continuing.
She was bad, but you were good. The best papa.
Jennifer looked up at me, mouth agape.
What are you talking about?
Cried Jennifer.
You don't even know me!
Yes, I do! Jennifer Finley, JJ, you and your stupid friends, all bad, always bad to me!
The lady barked. She was holding the blade inches from Jennifer's neck. Jennifer and Mary began to scream and hold each other tighter than before.
Wait!
I shouted over the commotion.
Wait! You say she was bad, but I was good. And you want me to be your papa, right?
I saw this got the woman's attention. She raised her face to me. I saw her anger slowly begin to dissolve into curiosity for the next words that would leave my mouth. I chose them carefully.
Well, okay then. I can be your papa.
At this, her frown curled back up into a smile. She stood up from her kneeling position and turned towards me.
You're my papa now?
Yeah, hon. I can be your papa. And you love your papa, right?
She squinted and began to giggle before peeping out a bashful yes. At this point, she was slowly moving closer to me and further from the girls.
And since you love your papa, you don't want to do something that'll make me cry, right? If you hurt Jennifer or her mom, I'll be so sad. I'll probably never stop crying.
She stopped, only a couple feet from me. She stared at me for a bit before turning back to Jennifer and eventually switching her focus to the ground. I can tell she was confused. She was still gripping the knife. I knew I could attempt to hit her with a tire iron, but if she dodged it or saw it coming and swung first, she would have the more critical hit. For a while, we all just remained motionless. It seemed like forever. In the time she stood there, I began to hear sirens in the distance. I knew if the police burst in, it would be enough to set things off. I was just about to take my chances on hitting the woman when I saw Jennifer start to move. Behind the girl, I noticed Jennifer slowly reaching for something on the ground near her. When she grabbed it, I saw what it was. The taser. The taser I had bought for her. Jennifer slowly and quietly got on her feet. She stared at me with nervous eyes. I looked back at her and gave her a subtle yet assuring nod.
Hey, listen.
I began to speak in order to act as a distraction.
It's all gonna be okay.
The woman looked up at me. Her smile was gone. Her eyes were narrowed, and I noticed tears coming down her cheeks.
No,
She whimpered.
no, it won't be. You love JJ more than me. You always will. And I hate JJ. She doesn't deserve you. I hate her so much. I hate her so much.
Just then, she raised up her arm and began to turn towards the girls. At that point, Jennifer was right behind her, close enough to be sliced by the vicious blade. I didn't even have to think. I lunged at the woman and grabbed her. Panicking, she turned back and stuck the knife deep in my arm. I screamed and moved back, knife still inside me. With that, Jennifer fired up the taser and pounded it into the woman's back. She let out a blood-curdling scream and arced her body, her arms outstretched beside her. With my good arm, I wound back the tire iron and cracked it across her cheek. Jennifer and I both pulled back after hearing the sound of her face being broken. The lady fell straight forward onto her chest. She was out cold. Jennifer and Mary both ran to hug me. I was bleeding profusely, but I didn't care. My family was safe. We all held each other. Minutes later, the police arrived. They ran upstairs and walked into the scene. The leading officer was the same one who had came that first night. He looked at me, then to the woman, then back at me. His eyes were wide in disbelief. I just stared back. I didn't say anything. It was pretty clear he was putting the pieces together. But, of course, I had to go down to the station and give a statement. When they saw how bad the wound on my arm was, they chose to send my family and me to the hospital instead. After getting treated for the wound, I spoke to the officer and his partner for a while. I told them everything that happened from the beginning. They informed me that they had the woman in custody and asked if I wanted to press charges. I thought about it and told them I'd have to let them know when I wasn't doped up on pain meds. Truth is, it wasn't the meds that made me unsure. What was the point of suing? I saw the woman's living conditions. Clearly she had nothing. Not to mention any judge would see that she's clearly not of sound mind. The next day, the officers returned. This time, I would be the one listening. Now that they had the woman, they were finally able to get some answers. We were finally given a name for the woman. For reasons that will be made clear in a moment, I don't want to include her full name. Her first, though, is Abigail. I've been calling her a woman this whole time, thinking she was maybe in her upper 30s or maybe even early 40s. I came to find out she was only 22. She was a chronic meth head. That explained a lot. The accelerated aging, rotted teeth, skin sores, etc. Jennifer was in the room when they were sharing this, and I noticed her eyes get wide at the mention of her name. When the officers left, I called Jennifer out. This woman and her clearly had some type of history. Now, I will state again, my daughter is not a murderer or some type of violent criminal, but from what I heard, she's also not the angel I made her out to be. A lot of you commented that Jennifer knew who she was. It hurts me to say it, but you were all right. Abigail attended school with Jennifer from kindergarten through junior year of high school. It was then that she presumably dropped out and moved to a new town. None of the students really knew what happened to her, nor did they care. Abigail was an outcast, to say the least. She had a slight to moderate behavioral and learning disorder, which would immediately alienate any young child. On top of that, she was raised in a broken home. Her father had run out on her while Abigail was still in diapers. Her mother wasn't exactly the inspirational Hallmark movie single mom either. According to the rumors Jennifer was able to recall, Abigail's mother was practically a prostitute. She too was an addict, though we can't be sure it was also meth, and would regularly entertain men if that meant getting her next fix. By the time Abigail had hit high school, she was practically a lost cause. It was the years before that, though, that really came into play. In elementary school, friends are often forced upon you. Faculty and staff of the school tend to pressure both students and parents to include all the classmates of that particular child in on everything. Birthdays, pool parties, trick-or-treating, you name it. Jennifer's school was no exception. We tended to invite at least her entire class to any party we hosted on her behalf. Since Abigail was in her class for several years, she was also included. I remember seeing the neglected little girl playing by herself in the backyard or in the corner of the basement. I would often feel bad for her, come talk to her, bring her cake, play with her, and try to get the other kids to include her on whatever it is they were doing. The kids never argued with me, and I assumed they were doing the right thing when I turned and left. I guess that was too much to ask from a bunch of kids. Yeah, needless to say, kids can be pretty shitty. Jennifer definitely fit that description. Apparently, sweet little JJ led the pack when it came to tormenting and bullying Abigail. The verbal, mental, and sometimes even physical abuse she endured from Jennifer and her friends lasted all throughout elementary school and partially throughout junior high, when they began to simply ignore her instead. Part of me feels that was just as harmful to her mental health. Anyway, Jennifer explained that when she went hiking with a group of friends in our local woods, they had seen Abigail, also walking on the path. When one of her friends recognized her, despite the dramatic transformation, the entire group began bursting into laughter and hurling the all too familiar insults in her direction. The group was pretty large, with about 10 people, and included a few rather large guys, so Abigail must have hesitated to act violently. We assume she then tailed the group until Jennifer had returned home. From then, the stalking began. The encounter stirred up all the bitter feelings of anger right back to the surface. I know there are still questions you all might have, but this will be my last post. There is nothing more for me to tell. My family is safe. I'm not pressing any charges. My arm is healing up. Abigail's cheekbone was fractured, but it's nothing that won't heal up as well. Hopefully, she'll begin getting the help she needs and deserves. I'm glad it's over, but needless to say, it's hard for my wife and I to look at our daughter in the same way. My heart breaks for Abigail. At the risk of sounding like an after-school special, I can't help but wonder if things could have been different. If the kids weren't such assholes and left her broken before she was even a teenager. Or if her pathetic excuse for parents actually gave a shit. Anyway, I'm ranting at this point. I want to thank everyone for his or her concern, support, and advice throughout this ordeal. I take comfort in knowing an anonymous group of strangers showed genuine concern for our safety, even if it was just a little bit. Hopefully this whole thing will become useful to someone in the future. Mr. Finley, signing out. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this video and the entire Worried Parent series. If you did, or didn't, let us know in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date on any stories or series we release in the future, be sure to subscribe. It's December, and that means another monthly movie giveaway. In honor of the season, we'll be giving away a Blu-ray copy of Black Christmas. More information can be found in the description below. Be safe out there, and remember, when in doubt, nope the hell out.